The Valley experienced an unusually dry winter. How will that affect the monsoon this year? A meteorologist weighs in. Plus, the 2025 season for the Arizona Cardinals is around the corner. Will the draft picks help them get closer to a championship? And the United States made its return to hypersonic weapons. But will U.S. technology be able to catch up with Russia and China? It's all this and more this evening on Broomhead. Welcome, I'm Mike Broomhead. Before we jump into today's interviews, let's take a look at some of the top stories. NASCAR made an announcement this past week that the 2026 NASCAR Championship weekend will move to Homestead Miami Speedway. This is a new plan to transition to a championship weekend rotation model to give other raceways a chance to host the exciting finale for the racing season. Here's what Phoenix Raceway President Latasha Causey had to say about this announcement.
So for us in Phoenix, we see it as an exciting thing. We're excited for our friends in Homestead to be the first track up on the rotation. And then for us, we know it will be back as well. And so, again, it gives us an opportunity to try something new, do something different, and give our fans a little something different as well.
When asked about when the championship will return to Phoenix Raceway, Latasha said she was unsure, but she was thinking in the next 3 to 5 years. The 2025 championship will be at Phoenix Raceway this November. And remember, you can catch all the Xfinity races leading up to the finale every Saturday here on CW7 Arizona. A new proposal on Capitol Hill aims to put more money in the pockets of American workers. A group of senators say their bill to make overtime pay tax-free could deliver relief at a time when many families are feeling squeezed. Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson has the details.
More hours, more money, and now maybe less tax. This group of Republican senators are backing a bill to make overtime pay tax-free.
What do they get in return when they work hard every day? They get a bigger tax bill to pay to fund this nonsense that we call federal government up here.
Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, Kansas Senator Roger Marshall, and West Virginia Senator Jim Justice are behind the push.
Putting a little extra money in their pockets to meet those week-to-week needs is a great thing as well.
Justice says the bill is about one thing.
This rewards work, and that's what it ought to be all about.
The bill would make up to $10,000 in overtime pay tax-free for individuals, $20,000 for married couples. But the benefit phases out for those making over $100,000 a year. The new proposal comes as inflation and cost of living remain top concerns for Americans. Brandon Arnold with the National Taxpayers Union wants the bill to go further.
Let's lower rates, particularly those rates affecting lower income Americans.
But he warns exempting overtime pay will reduce federal revenue.
Congress has a really tough math problem on its hands right now. And the more in the way of tax cuts they insert into this piece of legislation, the more they're going to have to find spending reductions.
Democrats haven't signed on, but the senators say the bill has the support of President Trump. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
When we talk about hourly workers who make this overtime because they're working over 40 hours a week, or people that make tips, these are generally working class people that don't make a ton of money. So every little bit helps keep food on the table and get those budgets taken care of. So anything we can do to provide relief and incentivize the workforce to work more, I think we have got an industrious society that'll do it. Now, there's a MAPA report here in the state of Arizona that says that Latino students are 24 percentage points behind white students in reading in third grade and 23 percentage points behind white students in math at the eighth grade level. This is very concerning. The concerns are, of course, we want all students to have an opportunity at a successful education and a career after that. But the reasons why, the arguments about Spanish students being in English immersion classes so that they catch up on English and learn English as quickly as possible, we know that leads to better success. But what does this all mean in the overall concept? Because 48% of public students in Arizona are Latino students. So our reading and test scores and our math test scores are all really being impacted by this study. But in the end, it's getting these kids so they have the ability to learn now and they have successful careers later. All right, coming up, we talk about this great Arizona weather. We talk with the consulting meteorologist. When will this end, and how about the monsoon? Will it be a wet summer? All that's coming up right here on Broomhead. It's important to recognize and thank the fine Arizona men and women who are serving in our country's military. One of the ways we like to do that is through a segment called From Arizona for America, and it's brought to you by my good friends at Sanderson Ford. So join me in honoring Seaman St. John Baldridge, a native of Surprise, Arizona, aboard the Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer USS Benfold in the Philippine Sea. For a list of more of our friends and neighbors that are from Arizona for America, just go to the Broomhead tab at cw7az.com. We are out at Papago Park, and another beautiful day here in Arizona into the month of May, which doesn't happen very often. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, is the weather and how it's about to change here in Arizona. Joining us is a consulting meteorologist. His name is Johnny Malloy. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
First of all, you're an Arizona native. So how rare is this that this late into the year we're having this great weather?
Oh my God, this is unbelievably fantastic. May is typically one of our driest months heading before the summer season.
Right.
So we'll take any rain we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And those few drops of water we're getting. But for the people that are new to Arizona, we're going to see some dramatic changes. It's going to warm up pretty quickly. When do you expect that to happen?
It really could happen in a matter of days. This is a little unusual, and it's really because of a passing weather system. So once this exits out the door, we're back up to the heat. So we could be triple-digit heat within a few days, really.
So when that happens, then we all in Arizona, we can't wait for the monsoon to get a little break and hopefully some rain. What are the thoughts in the community right now? I know you're looking at data. Yeah. Are we going to see a little bit more rain this time around? It's been a little hit and miss in the last few years. What are you expecting for the monsoon?
Yeah, actually, we do have a better shot at a more decent monsoon coming up. And the reason for that, ironically, we had a very dry winter in spring. And so there's good correlation that points to a more active monsoon season when that happens. And sure enough, it's one of our driest winters. So yes, we're leading into a more active monsoon.
So, you know, the joke in the media is that to be a meteorologist, you only have to be right. You're guessing, but I know there's a science behind this.
Yeah.
What are the factors that you look at when you're predicting the weather, when you're looking at where we're going to be and when we're going to get there? What are the factors that look at the monsoon and predictions for more rain? What are the factors that tell you that?
Yeah, well, the monsoon happens every year. That's guaranteed. It's just really the matter of the strength of the monsoon. So coming ahead of the monsoon within the spring months, what we want to look at is the landscape around us, particularly snowpack. If you look at a satellite image of the west right now, there's just no snowpack, especially the desert southwest. What that's going to allow us to do is heat up the land quickly, and that's what you want for the monsoon. So that's why we kind of anticipate a quicker onset and stronger monsoon season. And once you get that circulation going, that's what brings the moisture into the desert southwest.
So a couple of years ago, we had a very, very wet winter, which was unexpected. If you remember, we had very high levels of rain, a lot of snowpack.
Yeah.
So is that what contributed to the monsoon being a little bit less dramatic because we had such a pack and we weren't heating up the landscape so much?
That's definitely a correlation, yes.
So your expectations, this beautiful day we're having here in the midweek, but by the time we get to the weekend and beyond, is this the last one? Is this the last reprieve before those hot summer months?
We obviously want more of this type of weather throughout May and the rest of spring, and it's possible. So far this spring, we've had a progressive pattern. And what that means is we've had opportunities for Pacific storms coming in from the west, just like today in the last couple of days, actually. So it's not to say we're not done with this yet, but really the expectation climatologically is yes, this is going to be exiting and the monsoon should start showing good signs of the heating and whatnot by June.
And I know you get asked this because you're the one that's talking about the weather. What should people that are new to Arizona be ready for? I moved here 30 years ago, and no matter what they told me, they still couldn't prepare me for what the summers are like here.
It's brutal, right? It's the heat. It truly is. So when you look at the monsoon, we talk about flash flooding, which is obviously a hazard that we want to pay attention to on a local basis, but it's the heat. That's the number one hazard, and it's the greatest cause of mortality in this area, unfortunately. So when you come to Arizona in the summer, expect the heat and prepare for it.
Yeah, we're here at Papago Park. There's people hiking everywhere on this very mild day. What people are prepared for is how quickly you dehydrate. They always say if you're thirsty, you've already waited too long to drink, and that's when people get into trouble physically because they're not prepared, and all of a sudden they get overcome very quickly, right?
Very true, yeah. Heat around here is sneaky. The reason is because it's all the time. It's a constant threat in the background. And so not only that, but when we're in this urban environment here, we don't cool off, right? The urban heat island effect is very real when it comes to Phoenix. So when we don't have those cooler temperatures overnight, it just really keeps that heat going from a nonstop basis. And yes, you're right. If you're thirsty, it's too late. You got to hydrate all the time.
We've had some record-setting heat in the last couple of years and record days of over 100. Are we going to set records again this year, or is it expected to maybe moderate a little bit? Are we going to get a bit of a reprieve on the high temps?
You know, it's depends on the monsoon itself. So when we talk about a stronger monsoon, that's good for moisture import. The issue, though, is where the top of that monsoon sits on top of you, that's where you can get a lot of heat. So that's an issue we had last summer, where that high pressure associated with the monsoon circulation was right on top of us. So we didn't get the rain, but we got the heat. So that is still potential of this coming monsoon.
Johnny, I love the information. I mean, I love Arizona like everybody else does. I'm glad we've gotten this little bit of a reprieve, but the information is terrific, and I think people need to follow your advice, and let's pray for a little more rain.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, we'll be back. Coming up, the NFL draft wrapped up at the end of April. With training camp right around the corner, how are the Arizona Cardinals looking for the 2025 season? Will the draft picks help get them closer to the championship? We're talking with an expert when Broomhead returns. All right, we're going to talk some Cardinals football and draft picks, but who better to do it with than my old friend Bo Brock from PHNX Sports. It's great to see you again.
Ruby, always good to see you, my man.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since maybe the Cardinals were last good at football.
Yeah, well, let's hope that this is changing. Well, let me start off there.
Yeah.
Do you think they've turned a corner? I love the coaching changes, the GM changes, but it's the locker room. Are these good changes?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. I think you can go as far to say that the rebuild is over. And it's been a long, drawn-out process because you went from one regime to the next. I think Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, the culture change has been there. It's been significant. And I think they've got themselves in position to really compete this year.
And they're a tougher team, and they're a better team to watch. From a fan's perspective, just a casual fan.
Yeah.
I love the fan experience. I love the game of football, and I just think they're a team you want to cheer for.
No doubt about it. Hard-nosed, the team that comes to play, work every day, and they kind of take on maybe a little bit of their coach, the mentality that Gannon has, JG has. So, it's a young team. It's not a bunch of overpaid old veterans. It's a young group that's kind of come up together.
When you look at let's start with the first draft pick. When you got Walter Nolan, who is this great defensive tackle, big upside on him, but you partner him up, you bring in Calais Campbell. Started his career here. That mentorship, that's got to be a relationship that's really going to blossom, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it just seems like it's the perfect fit. You've got a guy that kind of has character concerns in the pre-draft process in Walter Nolan, even though the team's like, no, we've vetted this guy. And they seem to have cracked the code as far as finding the good character guys. But you bring in Calais Campbell, somebody who's done it not only in the Super Bowl run in 2008, and then also in 2015 under Bruce Arians, and then Walter Payton Man of the Year off the field, unbelievable, philanthropic.
Super character.
Yeah, the top character guy, and then still productive at his old age at 38 years old.
And the wisdom, I know it sounds silly, but from the day-to-day, if you're a rookie in the NFL trying to absorb everything that's coming in, but the character stuff on the field to make you day one ready to play in the NFL, you couldn't ask for a better guy than Calais Campbell to be the one leading the charge, right?
No, I mean, he's a guy that he's great with the media, but he's also a guy that can kind of speak softly, carry a big stick. I mean, that's Calais Campbell.
But am I wrong if I say to you the pick of the draft is Will Johnson, the cornerback, that he's the steal of the draft, and for the Cardinals to get him where they got him, that's whether he turns out to be the best player in this draft class, he is the pick in the draft. Right?
No doubt about it. 32 first-round picks. Will Johnson was a guy on the outside of the top 10. That's where he was supposed to be. Medical flag comes out late in the process, and he falls into the second round. Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon couldn't believe it. Gannon said he thought there was like a 0.002% chance he was going to get there, according to their analytical team. And they get Will Johnson at 47. He's one of the best defensive players in the draft.
For a team that wasn't, they had 16th pick, they got 2 first-round picks. I mean, really, they could have picked him at 16.
Right? Yeah, no, he was a guy in the conversation the entire pre-draft process. He was a star at Michigan. He was the defensive MVP of the national title game, Jim Harbaugh's last game with the Wolverines. He's sitting there, and he's the best player on that defense. Now, just because of a red flag in the pre-draft process, he's wearing a Cardinals red and white, and he's motivated. He says they're going to pay for this. And you love to hear that.
You love to hear it.
Yeah.
So what does it mean, looking at this draft class, what does it tell you that almost every single pick was a defensive pick?
Yeah, man. It was Monty Ossenfort, the general manager, wanted to flush that side of the football with talent. It's been kind of underserved. The first 2 years under Jonathan Gannon, he kind of wore that burden, said, hey, you worry about the offense, get Kyler Murray up to speed, get him surrounded by talent, Marvin Harrison Jr., left tackle, Paris Johnson Jr. They did that the first 2 years, and then you could see the emphasis as far as the defensive talent. Like the defensive line, I mean, they flushed that thing like more than people going and buying toilet paper during 2020. I mean, he just threw as many assets at it as he could.
But is it also sending the message that Kyler Murray and that offense are not forced to score 30 points a game to win? That now they're going to be competitive in a lower scoring game, and it takes some of the pressure off the offense, doesn't it?
It should, but there also will be a sense of pressure under Kyler Murray in this offense to perform this year, where I think that they're going to maybe create more opportunities. Where last year, I think you could argue that defense, even though it was undermanned, was the more consistent unit. But their team now with the talent to where they maybe could create more turnovers, get off the field a little bit quicker. Kyler Murray in that offense gets more opportunities to score points.
All right, got about 15 seconds. Yeah. Give me a number. What win-loss? Give me a prediction. If everybody stays healthy.
I think everybody stays healthy. I think this team could be 11-12 win team. I mean, this is not just going to be one of those linear, hey, they go 8 to 9 wins. I think they make a pretty steady jump. They've got the schedule. Strength of schedule is a little bit lighter. They should be able to take advantage of that win about 11-12 games.
Guy knows what he's talking about. We'll be back. Coming up, last week, the United States made its first return to testing reusable hypersonic aircraft since the 1960s. See what the new aircraft can do and why it's important for the United States defense. That's next on Broomhead. Here's a look at some upcoming events that should be on your radar. First up, the 2025 Spring Arizona Restaurant Week kicks off May 16th and goes until May 25th. Over 200 restaurants are participating around Arizona. To find the full list of restaurants, visit ArizonaRestaurantWeek.com. Then, a Tempe brewery tour with Arizona brew hopping happens Thursday through Sunday until May 8th. The tour is 4.5 hours long with appetizers and snacks provided during the experience. This is for those 21 and older. For decades, the U.S. research into hypersonic weapons has been relatively strained in funding. But now with both China and Russia actively demonstrating weapons with these capabilities, the United States' interest in this new arms race has taken off. Last week, aerospace company Stratotech and the Department of Defense had a successful test. Take a look.
The coin of the realm in the 21st century is speed.
The Pentagon announcing this week that the U.S. has successfully completed 2 test flights of a reusable hypersonic aircraft, opening the door to more rapid development of arms that can travel more than 5 times the speed of sound. It's a major step in shoring up the U.S. military's war technology deficit with China and Russia, which already have hypersonic weapons at their disposal.
Our adversaries are not resting, and neither will we.
The missiles can attack from great distances and maneuver in ways that trick adversaries and dodge traditional defenses. They can carry explosives as well as nuclear warheads.
The nature of a hypersonic weapon is to close in time any actor's kill chain.
Facing pressure from Congress to ramp up progress on hypersonic vehicles.
There is no better deterrent than readiness.
The Pentagon, whose funding for their development has lagged over the years, tapped 2 tech startups for the test flights, Stratolaunch and Ursa Major. The autonomous drone named Talon A, which was carried up from the Mojave Desert by a larger rock carrier aircraft, was launched in December and March over the Pacific Ocean before achieving Mach 5, the hypersonic threshold, and successfully landing both tests, according to the Department of Defense. And the vehicle's status as reusable is key, allowing the Talon A to get put back to work quickly. The test campaign marks the United States' first return to reusable hypersonic flight testing since the manned X-15 program ended almost 60 years ago, and emphasizes the cruciality of advancing American hypersonic arms.
Who does things faster wins.
Hypersonic weapons currently include missiles or gliders that can fly at least 5 times the speed of sound. Currently, American research is surrounding reusable test gliders that can land and redeploy quickly. Thank you to all the guests who joined us on today's show. If you missed any of the interviews or want to rewatch any of them, head over to cw7az.com/Broomhead. Every Sunday here on Broomhead, we ask a new poll question we'd like you to participate in. This week, the question is, do you think the Arizona Cardinals will have a good season this year? All you have to do is head over to cw7az.com/Broomhead to respond to the poll question. Thank you for joining us this week on Broomhead.